As the year winds down, I want to quickly do a bit of a recap. How did I go from this to this? Now, full disclosure, this was about this time last year, and this is me around this time this year. And I want to just take you through a bit of a process, and I've got some notes here on what I actually did in order to get this physique. There were 3 main goals. Number 1, do as many comps as possible and learn from them. And these comps range from things like jiu-jitsu comps to powerlifting comps. The second thing was to really improve my nutrition, particularly from a healthy lifestyle habit. And the third one is testing. And testing was the name of the game for the last 12 months. So hopefully there's some takeaways in this video. We'll get straight into it. Throughout the last 12 months, I've actually done 7 competitions. 7 competitions. 6 of them were jiu-jitsu comps. 1 of them was a powerlifting meet. And I will say that out of the 7 competitions, I think I've only had 1 gold medal, and the rest I've either podiumed or not even podiumed to a degree, which I thought was quite interesting. But here's what I did from a nutrition standpoint, because this is probably the easiest takeaway that you can probably do. The goal from the diet standpoint, it was more so of how can I get as healthy as possible. And one of the things that I'm lacking a lot in my diet was fruits and veg. So the increase was that. And funnily enough, by increasing these things overall, I've actually managed to lean out quite a fair bit just by auto-regulating my hunger and my performance on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis. So eat your fruits and veg. You probably will get leaner to a degree. From a training standpoint, what did I do? The goal here was to not just get stronger, but get a little bit more jacked and injury prevention and get better jiu-jitsu, but also maintain my strength, because I knew that I was going to do a powerlifting meet. So the way I structured my training based on the time that I could allocate in the week was 3 sessions a week. Mainly for the last 12 months, I've just been doing push-pull legs in some type of variation. This is great because I'm able to hit all my muscle groups. And from a jiu-jitsu training standpoint, I try to do about 2 drilling sessions a week and about 2 open mats a week. Flexibility is very, very important, or at least I found it quite useful and quite important with the style of game I play in jiu-jitsu. About 2 to 3 years ago, I could not even touch my toes. And now I can actually touch my toes, which I thought is quite cool. And I've been really diving a lot into specific flexibility training in the last 2 years. And it's definitely been paying off, both inside the weight room and on the jiu-jitsu mats as well. With the push-pull legs routine, I always make sure I start with some type of compound movement, but sticking it on the higher rep ranges. And as it got closer to the end of the year, because I was wanting to do a powerlifting competition, I really sort of changed the last 6 weeks of training to be purely a powerlifting style program. 3 sets of 3, SBD, squat, bench, deadlift, 3 sessions a week. All of this while in the middle of that 6-week block, doing gi nationals, which I thought was pretty cool. I was still able to compete relatively well, whilst also still being able to compete in a powerlifting meet literally 3 weeks after gi nationals, which I thought, in my mind, I thought was pretty wild, but I did it and I was actually pretty happy with how I accomplished it. There's a couple of takeaways here. Number 1, you're never going to be as strong as doing a pure strength powerlifting program. My best numbers at my powerlifting meet, on the recent meet, from what I can see in terms of percentages, were probably about 20 to 30% off my best ever top end strength. But I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. If you're a weekend warrior, just understand, like, you're never gonna always win competitions. Your goal is to enjoy each competition and whatever competition you put yourself into. If you take away the enjoyment, you might want to really seriously consider that you're a full-time athlete, or at least trying to be a full-time athlete, and therefore you should understand that sometimes training isn't always going to be fun, and really you're training for the sake of being the best athlete that you can. So enjoyment, I think, was something that I really focused on this year, and despite literally losing every single competition, I really enjoyed myself. The second thing from a nutrition standpoint is, whilst calories in, calories out, macro counting is obviously the ultimate thing from a nutrition standpoint, especially when it comes to putting on more muscle mass or losing fat mass, you can absolutely just focus on lifestyle changes, and lifestyle changes can yield you some pretty significant results, especially if you don't live an extremely healthy lifestyle. And the third thing is, don't underestimate weight training, but also don't underestimate flexibility training as well, particularly if you're quite immobile. It's cool and all to be very strong in the gym, but if you do not have the mobility to perform certain movements in the gym, you sure as hell are not getting the best bang for your buck value in the gym from a muscle growth perspective. And definitely, if you're not mobile, sports like jiu-jitsu or hobbies like jiu-jitsu, wrestling is going to be pretty difficult, let's be honest here. So those are the 3 takeaways. Enjoy your weekend warrior hobby sport. Don't ignore the basics of good fundamental nutrition, and it doesn't have to be calorie counting. You probably know what those are. Eat your vegetables, drink your water, eat your protein. And the third one is make sure you're incorporating weight training, but also maybe adding some type of flexibility training as well so that you get the best of all worlds when you're becoming a weekend warrior. Hopefully this helps. If you need some help to structure all of this out, there's a lot of free links underneath that you can check out. Hopefully you're doing well and have a great holiday month.